Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports.
Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports with Tyler Drake and Lauren Koval.
What's going on, Bird Gang? Welcome back into another edition of Cardinals Corner. Not the greatest showing in Denver this week, especially today, Saturday. Big loss, 27-7, but hey, it's preseason. It's an exhibition. It doesn't count in the win-loss record, doesn't count in the books there, so that's the good news. The bad news, a lot to clean up going into that preseason finale against Las Vegas. So to join me today, boots on the ground, had to get somebody there that saw everything go down. We've got Denver Sports' Anilo Piro. Hopefully I said that right for you, man. He's going to join us and talk about what he saw on his side of things and maybe give us some insight on some of the Cardinals that he saw take on the Broncos today. So first off, man, welcome to Cardinals Corner. Really glad we could make this all work, have a good little collab between Denver Sports, Arizona Sports. So let's get after it, man. How you doing?
I'm chilling, my man. I mean, unfortunately, not a great game for you guys with the Arizona Cardinals, but the Denver Broncos. Troy Franklin has himself a game. Pat Bryant has himself a game. Evan Ingram rips off a 50-yard reception. So all is well in Broncos country. I don't know if I could say the same for you, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, Jarrett Stidham looks like he's going to be in that QB1 conversation at this point. Entering the game, obviously, it's preseason. What were some of the big things that you were looking for from the Broncos, especially after coming out of that joint practice? Looked like the Broncos, from all reports, had a better day than the Cardinals throughout. So what were some of your takeaways heading into the game, and what were you looking for?
A couple of different things. I mean, obviously, locally here in Denver, the running back competition is definitely something worth keeping an eye on. Obviously, they bring in J.K. Dobbins over late in the offseason. They draft R.J. Harvey out of UCF. So that's kind of expected to be the 1-2 punch for the Denver Broncos. But they've also got guys like Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, Blake Watson, that are vying for that third or fourth potential running back slot. So that was a major point of emphasis tonight. And the guy that you alluded to, I just finished up doing a little conversation as well, talking a little Denver Broncos with Jarrett Stidham. And look, there's no quarterback competition here in Denver, but my overall takeaway is with as good as Jarrett played tonight, you've got to feel confident that, God forbid, if Bo Nix has to miss a game or two, you have a guy in Jarrett Stidham that could step up in there a la Brock Osweiler when Peyton Manning went down in that Super Bowl 50 season. So those were the two main takeaways for me. And Sean Payton has gone on and on and on about the depth that he loves with this Denver Broncos team. And I think that was on full display as well.
Yeah, definitely. So on our side of things, I guess I got to say Jacoby Brissett, he's got the lock on the QB2 for us. Clayton Tune, I appreciate all the work he's put in, but I mean, when you bring in Jacoby, I think the writing was already on the wall that he was going to be QB2 moving forward. I think he solidified it just even more with the 2 touchdowns last game, at another one today. So looks like the door is shut there for QB2. When you're looking at some of the Cardinals defenders, talking about a lot of these running backs, anybody stand out to you tonight?
Oof, I mean, well, let me ask you this, because I'm not overly familiar with the Cardinals depth chart. I know he didn't play a ton of his. I don't think he played any real starters tonight, did he?
Just Will Johnson and Akeem Davis-Gaither.
Yeah, so I think at that point, you obviously want to read into the overall performance of those two guys. But I got to be honest, dude, when you give up 27 points to Jarrett Stidham and company, I think it's really hard to take away anything positive. Like, you're much more tuned in with this Arizona Cardinals team than I am overall. I mean, with the Cardinals on offense in particular, I mean, what they have, like 125 total yards of offense tonight? 135.
562.
Yeah, so that's not great. But I think point being, going back to the running back room for the Broncos, at least, I mean, there was no one that was overly effective tonight. I mean, I think Denver was really good in the passing game. I mean, you have Pat Bryant going for 4 for 70, Troy Franklin 4 for 67 with the 2 scores. And I mean, you hold Jaleel McLaughlin to 48 yards, albeit on 3 carries, so you don't like the overall average there. But Blake Watson had in 34, 167 total yards of rushing offense. I know it's a preseason game. Maybe that number seems a little high, but there wasn't anything from the Broncos running back department one way or the other that really kind of stood out to me outside of that R.J. Harvey touchdown there at the start of the game. So from that perspective, I actually think the Cardinals did a decent job of slowing down the rushing attack.
Okay. Yeah, I saw there's a couple moments where I thought Xavier Thomas could have done better setting the edge a little more on some runs. Yeah. I think there was one he broke off pretty good, like a 20, 30-yard carry. But outside of that, man, yeah, I think against the run, not terrible. Against the pass, really, really rough. And, Jonathan Gannon talked after the game and said it just comes down to technique and fundamentals. Looking at Will Johnson, it was another one of those games where, yes, he had another flag. He's still learning as he's going. So I think everybody's expecting him to take that jump, be that projected starter that everybody expected him to be coming out of the draft if he can stay healthy. But another one of those kind of learning moments for him and Denzel Burke. He had that Troy Franklin touchdown, was incredible catch by Troy. And honestly, Denzel was right there, man. He just face covering him instead of looking back for the ball, but thought he had a pretty good showing too. So Troy Franklin, that was I think a lot of people are going to be looking at him more on the fantasy radar moving forward.
Yeah, I would agree. And honestly, for any of the fantasy football heads out there, it might take a little while, but I think RJ Harvey is going to cement himself potentially throughout the course of the season as running back one. I mean, they are really high on him. And, tonight, like the big critique from RJ Harvey coming out of their first preseason game against San Francisco is he was bouncing everything to the outside. And I think you saw RJ Harvey tonight really make a point of emphasis to attack that interior. And he gets that touchdown there as well. So overall, look, Troy Franklin's a guy that a lot of people are expecting to take that leap now in year two. The Broncos are a slept-on team. And I'm not just saying that because I live here in Denver and I cover the team. They've got a lot of talent across the board, maybe a lot of unknown players like a Devon Vele, a Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims type. But Sean Payton, someone that I really respect in the NFL, I think one of the better NFL head coaches, is loving this Denver Broncos team. And one thing, I'll throw you a bone when it comes to the Arizona Cardinals defense tonight. Vance Joseph is the Denver Broncos defensive coordinator. Yeah. So I'm sure, and I believe his son is still is on the Arizona Cardinals staff as well, he mentioned. So maybe a little inside knowledge there from VJ. Oh yeah.
Always. And yeah, VJ, loved covering him out here. He's a really good dude. Loved talking with him whenever we could. It was rough, man. I guess next question for you though is, who are some guys that are maybe on the bubble for the Denver side of things that maybe helped their cause tonight?
Well, I think, it's hard for me. Like the wide receivers that really stood out tonight, I don't think any of them were necessarily on the bubble. I think it really kind of comes down to the running back room. And I think what you saw from Jaleel McLaughlin with the overall average, having 16 yards per carry on those three, I think is pretty good. So he's a guy that Sean Payton loves and is vying for that running back three spot as a whole. So I would say he stood out to me the most. Audric Estime's on that bubble, 9 carries for 20 yards. Yeah. Not exactly efficient. So I don't think it was a great game for Audric.
Yeah. That's kind of the name I was going to ask you about. Where exactly, is he's pretty much on the bubble now, you'd say?
Yeah, and look, he's a second-year player. You don't like to cut second-year players that you use a draft pick on. That's the hard part. But like I said, Sean Payton loves him some Jaleel McLaughlin. He brings him up unprompted time and time again in these press conferences. And so that's something to read into. Blake Watson didn't have a great game necessarily today. Let's see, 10 carries for 34 yards. So not exactly efficient, but he really showed out in that game against San Francisco. So if we're kind of keeping track, right, you've got a little bit of the benefit of the doubt with Jaleel McLaughlin. You have a good game from Blake Watson. And then there's Audric Estime, who's, for lack of a better phrase, kind of grasping for straws. We don't really have anything to stand on with Audric Estime, which is definitely something to read into. But a guy that if he does get cut, one of those guys that I think Sean Payton's alluding to that can go out and show out somewhere else.
Exactly. Okay.
I don't know if he's going to get cut, but just, conversation.
Yeah. If it's one of those guys where you probably ended up somewhere if you're getting the axe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. They got a few of those guys, man.
Yeah. That's the same thing with the Cardinals too. And it sounds, I know different, they're in different trajectories, but it sounds like they're kind of at the similar spot of, hey, we've got some higher end talent where these decisions aren't so point blank as they were when we first took over in that rebuild, reclamation, whatever you want to call it. So, for me, you've been talking about running backs. I got to go to the safeties room because that's been pretty tightly contested there. Obviously, you've got Buddha, Jalen Thompson, you've got Rabbit. But now you've got this rookie 7th rounder, Keaton Crawford, coming out of nowhere and really throwing himself around like a little mini Buddha. Joey Blunt's been the special teams ace for the last couple of years. And really, he's looking like he could be on the cut list too and potentially be like one of those guys who ends up somewhere else as a potential contributor right away. So yeah, it just seems like the depth kind of on both sides of things. Obviously, I think Denver's a little bit ahead of the Cardinals right now. It has taken some massive steps forward. I think I saw Peyton talking about it the other day. It was like, we're in such a better situation now than we were a couple of years ago. And it just shows the depth and the guys that we cut, I hope them the best, but there's going to be some good talent that leaves this roster.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
And Sean Payton kind of alluded to it at the end of his press conference tonight that, he would much rather be in this position than the position he found himself after his first year with Russell Wilson, which was a roster that was overall devoid of talent. So, ups and downs, we'll see how it goes regular season. But I got to be honest, man, give me a little heat check on the Cardinals. I've got to ask because you've got Kyler Murray, who's someone that I've always personally been a fan of. Marvin Harrison Jr., an absolute stud at wide receiver. I think a lot of people are expecting big things from him across the league. Peyton Manning was out there for the joint practice this week. We saw him and Marvin kind of hanging out and chopping it up a little bit. I mean, give me a little bit of a vibe check of what the feel is there for the Cardinals in Arizona.
Yeah, I think right now it's year 3. It's been that slow buildup. They've reset the culture. They've reset the foundation. They've got some higher end talent. You saw Josh Sweat come in town. You've got Calais coming back, Dalvin Tomlinson up front. So they've really revamped the defensive side of the ball this year, which has been one of their biggest liabilities in recent seasons, which obviously today wasn't a great showing, but no starters. So let's take it for a grain of salt. But I mean, that's where you got to start is that they really put all their eggs into the defensive basket and gave Nick Rawlis, who's been this creative mastermind, getting guys into spot. I mean, really Budda Baker's playing all over the field now and setting career highs in tackles. So they've got that side of the ball on paper, at least shored up. Now it's, can the offense really show off that continued continuity with Kyler running the show, Marvin really looking like he's taken that year 2 jump already from a bulked up standpoint. He looks like he's a lot more comfortable. He's not so fidgety and not so nervous now. I mean, it's playoff or bust at this point. And it's not only just get to the playoffs. I think you got to be competitive, because if you're not, I mean, it's year 7 for Kyler. When you get into this point,
that's gross, by the way,
right?
7
with 1 playoff appearance, which was not good whatsoever.
It feels like just yesterday we were talking about if Kyler was going to go play for the Oakland Athletics or go play football.
The then Oakland Athletics.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. But I mean, it's interesting for me from the Cardinals' perspective, just because, San Francisco coming off a down year, right? I have a lot of respect for the Rams, but Matthew Stafford's dealing with a back injury. I ain't putting no eggs in the basket of Seattle. You're telling me Sam Darnold? What is Seattle doing with Sam Darnold as the quarterback? I mean, but point being, like, maybe there's an opportunity here for Arizona.
Yeah. No, exactly, man. And it's like the time is now. I've had Kelvin Beachum jump on our podcast. I've had a couple other guys, and it's like, yeah, we're at the point now where we can't just be feel good. All right, yeah, we're doing the right thing off the field. You've got to put wins on the records now. Like, you've got to keep pushing the envelope. So it's really coming down to if the offense sputters or if Kyler can't get it together in the second half of the season, questions are going to be had for sure. And if the defense falls flat, there's going to be questions there too. I wouldn't put Jonathan Gannon's job really on the hot seat right away, but if they have a free fall coming out of the gates on winnable games, especially when it's New Orleans and Carolina out of the gate, like, people are going to start looking at that. I mean, I think he's well under 500 in the last 2 years, and it's a great feel-good story, but you've got to produce at the NFL. So I definitely think if things don't go the way they want and they don't make the playoffs, expect some changes out here for sure.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And look, you obviously know the Cardinals a lot better than I do, and I know the Broncos a lot better than you do. I personally, I'm sure there's Cardinals fans out there that are reading into this game tonight. It's preseason, dude. Like, I think Sean Payton has a real agenda that he's trying to accomplish just because of that depth overall. But he talked about how him and Jonathan Gannon have been on the same page throughout the course of the offseason, leading up to the practice, leading up to this preseason game. So while, yes, the final score is obviously dominant in favor of the Denver Broncos, I personally don't think this has any overall reflection of what this Cardinals team is going to be, especially because nobody played that was significant.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's flip that back to you, man. Like, what do the Broncos have to do this year, in your opinion? What's the trajectory for this team?
Well, my answer is different than the trajectory that they've set out for themselves. Sean Payton's talking Super Bowl. Okay. Like, I'm being serious. Like, he talked about that at the beginning of training camp. Not necessarily like winning a Super Bowl. Like, that's not like the expectation, but like not being afraid to talk about the prospect of winning a championship. Okay. And kind of having that championship mindset overall. Look, I've said time and time again, like, the Broncos are they're playing a third place schedule, but it's not easy by any means. I mean, they've got Washington, they've got Green Bay, they've got Cincinnati, I believe, week 3 on Monday Night Football. They got the Eagles. I mean, obviously the AFC West is loaded with Kansas City. The Raiders are going to be better. The Chargers are a good team as well. I've said it on the Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan airwaves. Like, I think 10 wins for the Broncos, matching their record from a season ago, is actually not the worst thing. If they miss the playoffs, Broncos country is going to start feeling some type of way. But I personally think the expectation get back in the playoffs and try to win a playoff game and see where it kind of goes from there. But again, there are some people that I talk to and that I respect that have the Broncos at 13 wins. Yeah. I think that's a little high. I think they're more realistically a 10 or 11 win team, but I do think they can turn some heads with the overall talent they have. I'm a big Bo Nix guy. I was not entering his rookie season. I was just kind of, a little skeptical just because of all the noise we've heard from the analysts and whatnot. Yeah. But he really got better as the season went along. And here's a fun little tidbit from Bo Nix. I believe this is the first time since high school that Bo Nix is going into a consecutive season with the same overall scheme, playbook, and head coach. So this is a guy thinking back to Auburn, then Oregon, then being thrown into the system in Denver that has had coach after coach after coach, coordinator after coordinator, and playbook after playbook. So that should overall, no pun intended, bode well for Bo Nix.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, good. I liked how you worked that in there. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's very much one of the main second year quarterbacks. I'm looking forward to really take that next jump. I think everybody talks about Jaden, but don't forget Bo. I mean, he's very much in the conversation there, in my opinion. All right, I got to ask you about a former Cardinal, though. I know we talked a little about VJ, Zack Allen. I mean, here's my take, man. Very, very bummed that he left here just because of the good person he was and the trajectory that I expected him to take. And as soon as he got to Denver, it just seemed like he took off, man. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you've seen out of Zack Allen since he came to town.
Yeah, 100%. And Zack Allen's a guy, you mentioned it. You guys are revamping your defense. You could have used a Zack Allen. Yeah, but now Denver's got this embarrassment of riches with Zack Allen and Jonathan Cooper and Nick Bonito and Jonathan Franklin Myers and Malcolm Roach. I mean, this Broncos defense is shaping up to be one of, if not the best defense in the league. And that is not an understatement. I mean, you've got the pressure up front. Yeah, Dre Greenlaw at linebacker. You draft Jahdae Barron, and you've got the reigning defensive player of the year in Pat Surtain at corner. You add Talanoa Hufanga as well, who I know you're familiar with. So overall, the Broncos defense is in a good spot, but a large reason is because of Zack Allen. And Zack Allen being as big of a presence as he is makes Nick Bonito's life easier, makes Jonathan Cooper's life easier, right? You know this. He just got a massive payday, right? And the one thing that you guys know as well that we've really seen come to life with Zack Allen is his just overall athleticism. I mean, this is a big boy that can hit that swim move and hit that shimmy and get after the quarterback like, very few other players can do in this league. And so Zack Allen is a very highly intelligent player, but what he has up top also translates to his overall athleticism on the field. So he's an absolute game wrecker, and his profile just gets so much more elevated because of the talent around him. So sorry we took him from you, but he's been a great Denver Bronco. Yeah,
he clearly has been a great Denver Bronco. Yeah, and he had that J.J. Watt kind of school of hard knocks out here before he went up that way too, and he definitely learned a lot from him. So yeah, really, really, really happy to see him doing what he's doing up that way. Bummed he's not here, but yeah, glad he's still moving forward and doing his thing. All right, man. When you look at the Broncos this year, what's the one area that you've got some big question marks about?
Well, it's not the defense.
Nope.
It's not the head coach. It's not the quarterback.
You talked about running backs a lot.
Yeah, it would going into training camp, it was running backs and wide receivers. Okay. I feel like my concerns have been remedied a little bit at the wide receiver position. I think it's still running back. I mean, I was not overly impressed with what I saw from the running backs in week 1 or of the preseason. And frankly, I know you talked about the reports indicated the Broncos, quote unquote, won the day in the joint practice against the Cardinals. Not in the run game, brother. Okay. Not in the run game. Okay. And I understand training camp is hard because you can't fully hit, but there was a lot of plays that would have been 1, 2, no gain type of plays, at least from my perspective. So look, I'm high on RJ Harvey. I think J.K. Dobbins is a great addition, but I'm not sold on the Broncos running game like I am their defense.
Okay. What, looking back at that joint practice, anything else stick out to you?
A little physicality. Yeah. There was a little scuffle at one point. I guess I could label it as that.
Yeah, I think Tip Ryman was in the middle of that one. I think special teams, right?
Yeah, I believe so. They were on the far end of the field. I was watching Bo, and then all of a sudden you see a bunch of big guys in a big circle, and I'm like, "Ooh, what's going on over there?" Right? But I think the overall, I actually thought. It's interesting that you say that the Broncos seemingly ran away with the day. I actually thought the Cardinals had some moves. I mean, Trey McBride's obviously a local product for us here in Colorado with CSU. He had himself a standout day. Evan Ingram spoke very highly of Trey McBride, talking about how he's the future of the tight end position, which I completely agree with. And the money speaks for itself as well. Yeah. So I think I was impressed overall with Trey McBride. And then again, I think the Broncos, to give something positive, I thought they were good in the passing game.
Yeah. And that was the big thing I heard is passing game. They really stepped up. Bo was just dealing, man. So yeah, I think that was a big thing, especially I think a lot more people were watching that on the Cardinals side just because of that young cornerbacks room they've got with Will Johnson, Max Melton, Garrett Williams there in the nickel too. So yeah, a lot of moving pieces, a lot of younger guys that could have a lot more playing time for this Cardinals team. All right, man, that was a lot. I appreciate you spending the time with me. Once again, 27-7. Cardinals are on the losing end of preseason game number 2. Luckily, it was just preseason, though. Before I let you go, man, where can everybody find your work and give us your social medias?
Yeah, I am at Media by AP on Instagram, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it these days, all the good socials. And you can check out our work online, denversports.com, and also check us out, Denver Sports social media. But I really appreciate you having me on the show this evening or this night. I guess it's now technically Sunday morning here in Denver, but hopefully we get to do it again soon, my man.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you burning the midnight oil to jump on, man. And yeah, we'll definitely do it.
Real quick, the Rockies beat the Diamondbacks tonight. How about that?
Oh, man. What a game that was too. That was what, 6 runs and 2 innings to come back and win that? Or 1 inning. It was that was a fun one to watch for sure, and not in a good way.
Yeah, not a good night for Arizona sports fans, a good night for Colorado sports fans.
Exactly. Well, thanks again, man, and thank you guys for tuning in once again. Cardinals Corner. I'm Tyler Drake at T-Drake for Sports. Follow the show at AZ Cards Corner. And yes, this week is the Give-a-thon, so be sure to follow along all week. Arizona Sports app, 98.7 and ArizonaSports.com. We'll be back next week to talk more Cardinals as we get closer and closer to the regular season, and we can actually talk about games that count. We'll talk to you then.